at lunchtime?
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches and fruit, sometimes a tasty meat pie that my mother made.
Probably some home baking in those days, biscuits or cake.
Did you have a lunchbox?
Yes, it was like a little tin. You lifted a hinge on one side and you lifted it up and it had a wee clasp on the other side. Just
Had a little leather handle.
yes,
And it was
probably
square.
about 8 inches wide and 3 or 4, oh, we don't have inches, do we, today? About, if going to the old measurements, about 8 inches wide and probably about 4 inches deep.
What were your bags like?
Our bags, they were leather. They had a long shoulder strap and one little strap to hold it together, just one, because we didn't have a whole lot of books, just our lunch, and we didn't have a drink. There were taps at school.
What did you play on in the playground?
Kingasini. Don't ask me how to play it now because I don't think I can remember. Rounders, we had played rounders, didn't we?
We played, yes, and netball,
Except it was called basketball,
basketball
then.
in those days,
It was,
with 9 people.
it was quite a different game, totally different game to what your netball is today.
What did it look like?
Netball,
No, the school.
The
What
school.
did it look like?
oh,
It had that room 1, is it, that you have now?
Mhm.
That was there, as well as another room like that, and
so it was just one building really.
just
we had.
one building with
One
2
building
rooms.
with 2 rooms in it.
Like that oldest building there.
Yeah. And then we had a separate toilet block.
Out
And
the
there
back.
was a shelter shed, wasn't there?
Yes, there were 2 shelter
Yes,
sheds.
that
And
sort of
if
you
it-
could go into if it was you were outside and it rained.
Or if we had a wet lunch hour, we'd have our lunch in the shelter shed.
It was like a big building with no door on the front and just little forms, wooden seats inside.
Did you play sports?
Yes, we did
Yes.
those sports,
Yes.
basketball, kingasini.
And I
Rounders.
imagine the boys played football, didn't they? I can't remember.
Yes,
but
I
I
think
imagine
so.
they must have. Yeah.
Glenda used to come and have coaching.
What was the teacher like?
Lovely. We had lovely teachers.
We did.
Very kind teachers. We had 2. We had one for what we used to call the primers, which was your first 2 years of school, and then one for the standards, which was the last 4 years of your school. And you call them grades today, don't you?
Were they strict?
Yes. And nobody misbehaved much. If we were naughty, or we didn't do anything quite right, we'd get a little pencil tapped on our knuckles, hurt a little bit. Or occasionally, if it was very bad, you'd get a strap.
To put your hand out.
And put it out like that. Some boys went like that, pulled away.
What happened when you got into trouble?
Depended what the trouble was.
If they were bus pupils, they'd have to stay after school. They'd usually have to do something or pick up some rubbish or things like that, weren't they?
We probably were a fairly obedient lot in those days, weren't
Yes,
we?
yes.
Yes.
Most of us did what we were told.
And we
most
liked
of the
we
time.
liked our teachers too. The 2 teachers were very nice, and we didn't really want to upset them, so we were quite happy to behave ourselves.
How many people went to school?
About maybe
60,
60.
50 to 60, I'd say. We probably had probably about 30 people in each room, wouldn't we?
How many in your class?
Well, in the standards, you see, there were 4 classes in the one room. So we had what we call standard 1, 2, 3, and 4 were in one room. So,
And the infants in the other.
and the infants would be Primer 1 and Primer 2. So they're, as I say, you call them grades today. So there'd probably be, if for example, standard 4, there might have been about 12 of us, would there be?
Yes, possibly.
About 12 of us, possibly in standard 4, but we were in the same room with all the other
little
kids.
ones.
Yeah.
What did you do in class?
We used to have lessons that we had the teacher sitting up the front, and they were, she would write on the board. They were both ladies at the time, weren't they? She would write things on the board which we would have to write into books with a pen that we dipped in an inkwell on our desk, and when the ink ran out after a few words we'd have to dip it in again, write again. And she sat on a stool to read to us as well, and we all listened. We were very quiet.
Was there heating in the room?
Heating? Yes. We had a big pot-belly stove, and we put logs on it through the top, and on the top we'd heat a big pot of soup when it was cold in the winter for the children.
Or
We'd
cocoa.
make them soup or cocoa.
What did you use to work in?
To work in.
Well, we would have had a book, an exercise book,
Yes.
just really like you do today, an exercise book or a pad.
What was your favourite thing to do in class?
Chatter. Like all kids.
I think we probably all enjoyed just the learning part, really. We were quite happy to sit and learn, weren't we?
Yes. We'd ask questions of our friends.
And all work together.
Yes.
How did you get your information?
We had encyclopedias.
And they used to have something called a school journal
Yes.
those days. Do you still have those?
Yeah.
Well, we had a school journal which gave us lots of ideas and stories.
What was the best technology you used at school?
A film projector, which was a slide projector, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Yes.
And we used to pull the little negative through the lens.
Yes.
It was a film negative. It was quite long, yes, about 1 metre, and you'd pull it through and stop at each picture as it went through.
Did you shine a light by it?
No.
What did you like at school?
My favourite thing was, at playtimes, we used to make huts to play in. We were allowed to pick branches off the hedge. We'd bring old curtains from our mother's house that she didn't want anymore, and we'd hang them up, and we'd get people to pick grass and put it on the floor of the little hut, and we'd take our something to read in there, and sometimes we might even eat our lunch in those huts. And it was just holes in the hedge where we made these little houses. It was good fun. We loved it.
What did you look like at school?
I've got a picture I'll show you later. But most of us had our hair pulled back in ribbons.
We had have a bow in our hair, and
Yeah.
most of us were pulled back with a clip and a bow.
So you had to have your hair tied up when you were at school?
No, I
No.
don't think there were any rules as to there was no uniform. A lot of us did wear what they used to call a gym frock,
Yes.
which was
Like a pinafore.
with
type
pleats.
of- like your little pink.
Yeah, but it had
Yes.
3 big pleats down the front, and then we'd wear that would be usually navy blue, and then we'd have white blouse underneath often, and it was nice and warm in the winter.
Yes.
How did you get to school?
I went by bus.
We walked.
I
And
just-
in the winter there was ice on the puddles, and my father would clean our little boots before we went to school. We'd put them on, but as soon as we got to the gate we'd take them off, and we broke the ice on all the icy puddles we could find on the way to school.
What did you wear?
well, the gym thing.
Yes.
Yes.
But there was no uniform.
No, we could wear a dress or
wear whatever
whatever.
we liked.
What we
Yeah.
liked.
What was your homework?
Had to learn our tables, learn our spelling, do our reading.
Yeah, that would be